Good evening, everyone. Those of you on the live stream, good evening. On the Rewatch crew, happy wherever you are, whenever you are. Thank you all for joining me today. What are we doing? We're talking about little Maddie Soto. Now, I want to get you guys going in the fishbowl here. If you're new to the channel, just use GF to get my attention in the live chat. We're gonna be using the live chat, I hope, quite a bit today. Because what we're going to be doing is going through some questions that I've been getting through my website. If you don't know where that is, it's just gavinfish.com. And this is what the website looks like. There is a little envelope right here. If you click on that, that will take you to a place where you can contact me. I'm not able to respond to everything that I get, but I read everything that I get, and several things that have come in recently I am going to talk about today. We're all keeping it to the Madeline Soto case, okay? Now, you guys have seen the thumbnail to this, the description or the title to this particular video. That is right. We are talking about Mr. Stefan Stearns. There have been questions coming up about Stefan. There have been some regular ones, like some repeated ones, specifically having to do with his little guy, let's say. And so we're going to be getting into that. But before we get too irreverent, let's remember we do have a victim here. We have a 13-year-old little girl. And I say little girl because I am a dad, right? 13 is young. Oh my goodness. She's just beginning her life. Can you think back to when you were 13? And I know that we like to look back into our past and think about how grown up we were and so forth. But no, at 13, man, I was lost. I mean, I was doing Gen X kind of things, but also I had no idea about the danger of the world. I had no idea what was lurking around me. Fortunately for me, I had a loving, caring family. Unfortunately for Madeline, she had a demon living with her. So Madeline goes missing on February 26th of this year. She didn't show up for school. Her mother's on-again, off-again boyfriend at the time, a man named Stefan Stearns, this guy, said that he dropped her off at school. But nay, she was not dropped off. Her body was eventually found like 4 days later in a field next to a stand of bamboo. So Mr. Stearns has been, not only has he been accused of her murder, but he has also been accused of abusing Madeline, the repeated SA over the course of about 5 years. And the way they caught him is he documented it. Okay? So that's where we are if you don't know about this case. All right. So little Miss Maddie. Okay, are you guys up and awake in the live stream? You are, it looks like. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to take you guys over to the very first question. I'm not burying the lead here. Not going to bury the lead. We're going to go to the first question right over here, okay? Now I want you to know I've gotten this question in many different forms. I've just chosen one, okay? All right. This is the question. I heard somebody on a different channel mention that according to law enforcement, Stefan Stearns allegedly has a very peculiar birth defect involving his little guy. Little Stefan, let's say. While some people have referred to it as a birthmark, this one particular channel called it a birth defect and suggested that he has a second vestigial artistic Siamese twin, tiny little peepee growing out of his main peepee. You've seen the photos from the interrogation. Question. Oh my God, I can't do this with a straight face, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, question. How would you describe Stephen Stern's anomaly? Very curious about this subject, solely because I heard somebody else refer to it as a second pee-pee. Wondering if you could give me a definitive answer. Guys, I'm here for you, okay? I'm here for you. I can give you the answer. Now, here's the deal. Let's see, who was it? The Osceola County Sheriff's Office released video of Mr. Stern's interrogation where he was ultimately arrested and evidence was collected from him. So like buccal swabs, his clothing, swabs of his, pictures of scrapes and stuff like that on his arms. And then they stripped him completely nude and took photos of his genitalia. They did this because in the photos, we can read the reports. The reports say that the photos showing Madeleine being abused show a very particular marking on the man's junk that was, I guess, easily identifiable. Okay. So I don't know how to do this. Don't know how to do that. I'm just going to warn you. Okay. Just going to warn you. I'm about to show you. Okay. Here it is. Oh, I'm terrible. I am terrible. I am terrible. I am terrible. Okay, listen. I am not an expert on human anatomy, but being a man, I would say that I understand what it is supposed to look like, and that's just what it looks like. It's just a regular old male genitals. That's what he's got. That's what it looks like. They do spend some time lifting it up and like stretching skin and take a picture of that freckle, take a picture of that mole, take a picture of that mark. But based on what I saw, no, there's not a Siamese twin down there. That might be a politically incorrect word. Conjoined twin. I apologize. No, there's none of that down there. Okay. So, yeah, you can stop asking me for those photos or for that video. If you want to see, I'm stuck in a place where I'm like, I can show you guys. I don't want to do it on YouTube because I think I'll be deplatformed, but, the video is available. And one of the people that reached out to me said, hey, here are the people that I know have seen the unredacted video. You're one of them. Can you please send it to me? I just am not comfortable. I don't care that it's out there. I just don't want to be the guy that put it out there. And so if you want to be the person that puts that video out there, then do a Freedom of Information Act request from I think it's Osceola County Sheriff's Office, and get it's like a 5-hour video and share it. But I am not going to put it out there. I'm not going to be giving it to anybody. Okay. Hopefully you guys are cool with the little joke that I just pulled there. But, yeah, yes. Here, let's get some of your comments here real quick. Gavin, is it a birthmark? So the video is kind of hard to see because they get in the way of the camera. They like crouch down and they're holding up another camera or another phone that has ostensibly the picture of Madeleine being abused, and they're comparing it. And then that part is blocked off. And then he's blocked oftentimes by bodies being in there, like lifting and stretching and doing all the stuff. What they say is freckle, mole, birthmark. Those are the words that or phrases that they say. So get a picture of this, get a picture of the freckle, get a picture, that sort of thing. So yeah, Tony, I'm completely comfortable having these conversations. I just don't want to be deplatformed by YouTube. It's just something that I don't. Becca calls me a troll. Bev Darigi says, just call it what it is, Gavin. But I don't want to be deplatformed by saying it out loud, guys. I'm sorry. I'm comfortable saying the word. I just, I want to protect the channel. It's okay. Everybody just relax. Robin says it's an awkward conversation, so make it fun, I say. Yes, I have had fun with it. And I am a troll. I am a troll. You guys have got some funny things. Yes. Okay. So you guys are pleased that I poked fun a little bit, Mr. Stearns. It's not that I'm uncomfortable with it. I just don't want to be deplatformed. I'm selfish. That's what it is. Okay. Now, again, now that we've done that one, let's move on to some other comments and questions that have come in. Okay. Here's one that has come in from my contact form. If there are 1,700 images or videos of Maddie with Stefan Stearns, how could this have happened without Jennifer's knowledge? I recognize that there may be numerous photos of one incident, but the volume of acts has to be enormous. And if I understand correctly, some acts took place in Maddie's makeshift bedroom over a 5-year period with both not working, both Jen and Jennifer Soto and Stefan Stearns not working. How could the behavior go undetected or accidentally exposed? No one seems to address this issue. Please speak to this on your show. So, I think that I have talked about this. First of all, I don't think it is possible. And I'm sorry to be a waffler. I go back and forth on this stuff. I have gone back and forth between it's completely impossible that she didn't know that this was going on, to talking with Beth Meeks, like, wow, maybe she just had some kind of cognitive disability. He was very good at gaslighting her. He was very good at controlling her. He was coercive, and he was able to get that done. And that might be true, but I kind of feel like, no, it would be impossible. Now, just to do the math here real quick, if you're assuming 30 frames a second and he's got a 5-minute video, I would think a lot of these are probably video stills. So a 5-minute video would be 9,000 frames. And I think that's what he did when he spied underneath the bathroom door on the, let's say, on the roommate. So it's possible that the 1,700 images were just still frames from videos, but still we do know that it goes back 5 years, right? So it could be as little as 2 encounters, or it could be as many as 1,700 encounters, I suppose. I would imagine that, I don't know that we need to know that for sure. We know that he has been charged with 60 counts. I'm trying to remember what those count. I'm trying to remember how those counts break down. Somebody tell me how those counts break down. I think I might even have the link down in the description so you guys can see. But anyway, yeah, I don't see how he could have gotten away with it without Jennifer's knowledge, unless there was some other mitigating factor, like like a cognitive disability, having been gaslit for a long, long time, having been controlled coercively. And Beth brought up some very good points about how predators like Stefan Stearns, who are looking for victims like Madeline Soto, are also looking for guardians and parents like Jennifer Soto, right? That's part of the hunt, looking for the perfect prey and looking for a controllable guardian. And I think Beth was spot on that. Great question. Thank you very much. Let me go here. All right. And I've a lot of the just so you guys know, if you reach out to me through email or through my website, it is much more likely that I will reply if it is short. And it's not because it's because I simply am working a full-time job and doing this pretty much full-time too. So I really, the long, heartfelt emails that I get are very difficult for me to have the time to put the attention on that they need. So keep them short. But several of these that I'm going to show you today are pretty long. But this was like one paragraph out of a much longer message. Anyway, okay. This one says, I've watched you talk about Jennifer Soto's first husband during his police interview, and you seem to find him so credible, yet when he's telling them that Jen suffered greatly from some oncoming bipolar condition, and he even explains the symptoms, we're talking about the first husband, that is Stephen Young, right? To my knowledge, this is Jennifer's only husband, but I might be wrong on that. Okay. Yet when he's telling them that Jen suffered greatly from some oncoming bipolar condition, and he even explains the symptoms it was causing her, unable to get out of bed, confused, withdrawn, etc., and that was before medications, do you know anyone with bipolar or schizophrenia and how those meds can affect people? So, when it comes to schizophrenia, I do not know anybody. Nobody in my circle of associations that I know of suffers from schizophrenia. I only have observed evidence in trials, for example, and evidence in what are they, like hearings, things like that. So I don't know anybody with schizophrenia, but bipolar disorder is something that does touch close to home. So yes, the answer to that is yes. Okay. This emailer says, I do. I think at most she is guilty of not having more help around her, even though her mother and family seem to help a lot. You also heard from her first husband that Jen's mother had Jen sleep with her throughout her childhood and that it wasn't abnormal in her family. On top of that, when you listen to the interview between Madeline's bio dad and police, even he tried to sleep. So the bio dad was Tyler Wallace. She says, or he says, I don't know who this was. Even he tries to sleep with Maddie and his wife during Maddie's visit when she was 11 years old. Obviously, the child had difficulty sleeping on her own. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions, of course, but I would love it if you could explain to your audience why you believe Jen would be on trial and for what charges. And actually, I've actually done an entire video on that, probably since you sent this in, but I still think it's a really good email. Is it a crime to be dumb? Is it a crime for a woman to trust some monster who can convince his own parents that the sky is actually purple to be manipulated by him? So are you wanting them to charge her with being manipulated by a monster? Okay. I think this is fair. Okay. This is a fair, especially if they didn't see my other videos on this. I don't know if we can call Jennifer Soto dumb is the word that you use. But I do think that there is some cognitive disability there. I think that she is slow to reason, and I think that probably she is affected by the medications that she takes as well, probably. But there are a couple things that I think that she should be charged for. And I think, and you can go back and see my video about it, but the very least is probably child neglect. And the most would be like an accessory after the fact. So go back and look at that video of mine. But I do agree with you that that there was manipulation on the part of Stephen Stearns, that he was very good at it, and that she was also a victim in some sense of Mr. Stearns. I will say that. Okay. Now, having said that, let's go to some comments here. See what you guys say. All right, give me a second. Criddles, Gavin. Okay, real question. Would a person about to get busy with Mr. Stearns, I'm guessing, be like, ew, WTH? I don't think so. From what I can see, it just looks like what it's supposed to look like. Okay. Pineapple, Gavin, why would you not show his junk? I, for one, would like to see it. I'm thinking if anyone doesn't want to see it, they don't have to watch. I don't want to be deplatformed. That's all it boils down to. Man, this system refreshes. It drives me crazy. Yeah, Irene, I think I will skip that one. So yes, we have and can do that, Mooney. Yeah, I hope you guys, yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna scooch down here a little bit. Okay, let's bring Maddie up on there. Diana is a personal friend of mine. Love Diana, one of the best. Says, Gavin, I can say from personal experience growing up in a not so great family that my mom never knew things happened to me until I told her. She never heard it or was present enough to realize. That is, I guess that is shocking to me, Diana, and sad. I'm trying to think, like, so I didn't have these kinds of things happening to me or around me when I was a kid, but I did do normal everyday kid things that they don't want their parents to know about. The way that we got away with it is my parents were gone. They were like at work or they were at some social function or something like that. And that's when we would do childish things. In this case, though, Stephen Stearns didn't have a job. Jennifer Soto was on disability. She didn't have a full-time job. So, I mean, she must have been there. I wonder, what you're saying, Diana, is that your mom wasn't present enough. So she was physically present, but not maybe emotionally or mentally present. Okay, so that's possible. Sleepless in South Africa says, Gavin, I don't believe Jen. She was just nonchalant about her child being missing. Even you think she knew. Yeah. Kim Shaughnessy, Beth also said most of his persona was an act. Yes. Jersey Red, Gavin, I find it unlikely she didn't suspect anything. Did she mention the Woody Allen situation? Why mention that? They all slept in the same bed. You know, speaking of sleeping in the same bed, okay. I think, though I'm not sure, somebody help me on this. Jennifer is of Puerto Rican descent, right? Or maybe Cuban. I think she's Puerto Rican descent. Now, I don't have any expertise or knowledge of Cuba, Puerto Rico. But I do have knowledge of, I have personal knowledge and experience of the behavior of families in deep poverty in South America. So, not so much in the Caribbean, but when I get into South America and I've lived there, I know how it goes. Most of the work that I did was with people who were poor, awesome, awesome people, people that I deeply, deeply love, but many of them were in extreme poverty. So they would be in houses that were usually one room, sometimes two rooms. Like there would be a kitchen slash dining slash living room, and that would be about the size of maybe the room that I'm in now, or smaller probably. And then there would be a bedroom where everybody in the family would sleep. Either that or it would just all be one room. So I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but if Jennifer's heritage has that in the background, that can carry on generations beyond like once they move from the lower socioeconomic strata up to the middle and the high socioeconomic strata. Those habits do tend to come with us as we move right through our economic layers, let's say. So is it possible that their family is just a family that 4 generations ago or 5 generations ago, it was normal, and then as they have become more mainstream Americanized, it has just become a family thing? I don't know. I don't know. I'm also trying to think of the people that I see in and around my area who have problems with drug addiction and poverty mindsets. They may not be they may be generationally poor, but it's really not about the money. It's about the mindset, right? It's a poverty mindset, and I think that we do see these same kinds of things. Uh, I mean, Diana, for example, would know in our area there was a case where an entire family was living in a basement of a home on an inflatable mattress. It was 4 people, little ones, and a domestic couple that were living on a mattress. And then, I mean, that one ended in the tragic death of a little boy, and by the tragic murder of a little boy. But anyway, so I'm trying to think of like, is there a social or is there a familial reason why Jennifer would think that it would be normal to sleep that way, especially in light of some of her cognitive disabilities that she may or may not have? I believe that she does. I don't know. But don't be sleeping with your 13-year-olds, guys. Don't be sending them to sleep with your boyfriend. Okay? It's really it is really interesting. Okay, let's bring Maddie back up. Becca says, Gavin, not defending Jen, but I bet she put up a mental block to block it from her mind just to keep him in her life. People can block out so much and turn other cheek if they have to. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today. I have a childhood friend who, I mean, this has probably been 8 or 9 or 10 years ago. We had a conversation. So we were, 39, 40 years old. And we had this hey, do you remember that time when and he was like, no, I don't remember that at all. Oh, okay. But you remember when we did this or when we did that? Hey, remember the treehouse? Remember, Great America, those kinds of things. And he couldn't remember any of that stuff. And he basically he said that he had very little memory before like senior year of high school. And and from his perspective, he had been traumatized as a child. And so it's possible that he put up those same kind of blocks. And we don't need to, Becca, I really appreciate this comment because what we need to be defensive of, what is the truth and what is justice, right? We all want justice for the girl on our screen right now. We want justice for her, whether that means whatever justice is, we want that. The other thing that we probably each feel is a sense of schadenfreude, right? The sense of prison justice, or the idea that people who do bad things, the desire to have bad things happen to people who have done bad things. That I think that we should try to back off from as much as we can. And so we don't need to worry about, are we defending Jen or are we defending whomever, as long as we're seeking after truth, we're seeking after justice. That sounds so corny, but that's the way I feel. Great comment. Jessam says, Gavin, will there be a trial? And if so, is there a date? There are 2 trials set because there are 2 cases. One is in February, one is in September. Those are very unlikely to actually happen in February or September, but they do have them on the calendar. The first one is the SA trial, and the second one is the murder trial, but I think that we're many years out from a trial. Got some great... Nick the Booksmith, Gavin, controllable indeed, especially considering Jen and Stefan were broken up at the time, right? She told Maddie to go to bed upstairs with a guy she used to date. What was his excuse for even coming around? Yeah, it's weird. That is a great comment. Mooney, though, says, Gavin, I think Jennifer Soto has learned helplessness and has also learned to play the system. And Mooney, though, it can all be true at the same time, right? She may have learned how to get what she wants by manipulating people from her apparent helplessness, and she may have also learned to play the system. At the same time, she may have been manipulated by Stefan Stearns. It's hard to say. Great comments, guys. Oh my goodness. You guys are awesome. Let me just, Kimberly Reyes says, Gavin, I think Jen should be charged, but instead of jail, maybe a psych hospital. Yeah, I was I was covering a trial for work. What was that, last month or the month? I think it was last month. And actually I have my notes here. It doesn't matter. It was pretty recently, and the jurors had the ability to choose whether or not, like, either way, if he was guilty or not guilty, it didn't matter. He was going to be institutionalized, right? So yeah, I think that might be a good idea. Good job, Kimberly. If Jen wanted to keep Stefan around, then why were they broken up? Yeah, what she said was that that he was still her best friend. That's what she told police. It's pretty interesting. Okay, let's go back to over here. All right. Beth got some love in the old emails that I got, guys. Beth is awesome. We need to have Beth back for sure. Okay. The woman guest you had on recently, which was Beth, the abuse expert, said some things that I had never heard. She was insightful, especially about the mind of the abuser. I bet Stearns does blame someone else. And it was astute of your guest to be aware of not helping his cause with anything she said about Jen. Beth was amazing. My guess is the scum, talking about Mr. Stearns, I guess, does not feel responsible at all. This was evident when he told his dad on the phone, I didn't start it. Kudos to his dad for not supporting that nonsense. This is a smart woman who knows her topic. Man, she sure is. Beth is an impressive woman indeed. And if you guys did not see that video, go back. You'll see this picture on the thumbnail. And it's a great conversation that I had with her. Okay, this one says, I missed the live on Stefan Stearns' poem for Maddie Soto by 20 minutes. What do you make of the fact that the poem looks like each letter was retraced several times? It looks like he kept retracing the letters over and over multiple times. I never do that in a handwritten letter unless I want to emphasize a point or my ink runs dry. It's obvious to me that while he didn't retrace every letter perfectly, there was still ink in the pen he used to write with. Therefore, why did he obsess over it and keep tracing the letters? Well, I think that that's a pretty darn good observation. That poem was, I guess, carefully printed using handwritten print. It did look like he had gone over it multiple times. I had wondered if it was a final draft. I also wondered if, as he sat there in prison having nothing else to do, if he would just kind of write on that and trace it over and maybe think about those last moments with Madeline. I don't know if Stefan Stearns has done this before. That's the scary thing, is it's possible that Stefan Stearns has done both crimes to somebody else, that there are other victims. But talking specifically about the murder, I wonder if he, as he wrote that poem, he was reliving that last moment and maybe enjoying it. I mean, I don't know. That's just me wondering what a person with his mental issues would do. So I don't know what to take, what to take from it. I just think that he probably obsessed over that poem, which was, I mean, well, I was going to say it was a bad poem, but I am also not I'm not a good poet myself. So what do I know? All right. Back to a great comment about Beth. Last night you hit a home run with Beth Meeks. You must have heard my quiet grumbles concerning the Soto case. While there is something about Jen I just can't put a finger on, I know and understand how an abusive, manipulative, and gaslighting significant other can damage the lives of so many. Also, so many didn't even bother to learn about the side effects of Jen's meds. Instead, they have bashed her every word and have alluded to her guilt as she tries to make sense of so many sickening issues that have forced her out of denial. I know there will be justice for Maddie without doubt, but Jen has an extremely long road to hoe. I pray she never views many of YouTube channels. I guess experience is the best teacher, but living, loving one like Stefan Stearns, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. One of the things that Beth said was that she thought that Jennifer Stearns still bore some responsibility for what happened. But so she wasn't excusing what Jennifer Soto appears to have done, how she has appeared to have acted here as we look at it, but that she does have, but she did want to explain why maybe she did some of the things that she did. And I thought that it was a terrific conversation. I have got to sneeze. I am back, everybody. Hey, Jamie, don't worry. I've got the mute off. I sometimes forget that. Oh, another one coming, guys. There's another one coming. It doesn't want to come. What's it going to do? I think I'm okay. All right. Here's another one about Beth. I have been counseling adult survivors of childhood SA, holding a BSc in psychology and counseling, graduate member of the British Psychological Society, and accredited counselor, as well as student of MA in crime and justice. The advice given by your guest Beth Meeks to lie was sensible and important. Let me pause there for a second. Beth gave some advice that I had never heard in my life. And the advice, if I can just kind of I'm not going to get it perfect, right? But so if I could characterize what she said that it is okay to lie to get yourself out of scary situations, or get yourself out of situations where you feel uncomfortable or unsafe. It is okay to say things like, "No, I'm not going with you. My friend is going to be here." Or it's okay to find a safe looking other person and join the group and say, "Hey, guy," it's okay to go against social norms in order to keep yourself safe. And I'm so glad that she gave that advice. Okay. This person says, I would go further than that, as sometimes it requires an extraordinary response. Perhaps this is more important in the UK, where politeness is a big social convention, but I tell women that they do not owe the potential or actual perpetrators anything at all, not even politeness or courtesy, being civil or reasonable. And when I read this, I was like, wow, what a great comment. And I've even since then, I've had conversations with women I love, my daughters, my wife. You do not have to be polite ever. Scream, yell, make noise, get attention anytime there is that sense of that spidey sense, right? That spidey sense that we all have that says, get out of this situation. The moment you feel that, there is no need to adhere to social norms. And I don't know if you guys read Girl with a Dragon Tattoo series, the Lisbeth Salander series, or saw the movies. They did a Girl with a Dragon Tattoo in English, and then they did all of them in Swedish, and they're all terrific. But the books, guys, are fun. But in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, one of the main characters, Mikkel, goes into a dangerous situation because he didn't want to be impolite. And the murderer points that out to him once he's got him in his trap, right? So don't be trapped like that. And I know that's like a fiction. I know it's a fiction book, but it remains true nonetheless. You do not have to comply with social norms when you've got that tingle, when you've got that sense that you're in danger. When you've got that sense, listen to it and make as much noise as you have to. Yeah. Great email. Thanks for sending that my way. Okay. All right. I've been following you for a few weeks and watching all the Maddie Soda postings you upload on YouTube. The subject of predators looking for prey has started to hit home as of recently. I have a longtime friend of 20 or so years who is single with a 4-year-old. She recently got engaged to a man who's in prison for being these things that you guys can see. Okay. Me and another friend have tried talking sense into her, and we just can't get through to her. Furthermore, we believe she's allowing her daughter to FaceTime with this predator. We think he has a contraband cell phone. He is doing a sentence of 100 years, but still managing to groom women while locked up. And it's disturbing. I don't understand. I mean, that might be something that we get Beth back on to talk about. This idea of the attractiveness of somebody who is in prison for horrible, horrible things. Why some people are attracted to that. Tell me if that's something that you guys think that we ought to talk about on the show. I think that would be a good conversation. Let's bring Maddie up again, and let's go over to your comments here. Give me a second while it refreshes. Okay. Let me hide this. Calgal, Gavin, what did Jen think about Stefan's boxers being in Maddie's room? I don't remember anything. I don't remember her saying anything about that. So I can't say. Yeah, great comment though. Gavin, again, she put her and her little girl. She put her little girl in the middle of her and her boyfriend. That's just gross. It is kind of weird. Barbara Coriamarga says, Gavin, the best part was the female officer that said to him, if you get squirrely here, you're going to end up down on your face real quick. Yeah, she says something like, you're going to eat carpet, right? You get squirrely, you're going to eat carpet. I thought that was pretty rad too. Thank you for the super sticker, Shirls. I appreciate that. That is, wow, that is your 5th super on a live stream. Thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate that. Elizabeth is saying maybe he was trying to memorize that poem. Maybe so. Maybe so. Great observation. Yeah, I try not to be overly sensitive, but I like you guys. I don't want to hurt your feelings on purpose. I'm a person that cannot be offended. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm a person that you can say anything to. It does not offend me. But I also want to be respectful of you guys. If you have different feelings about things, it's pretty easy for me to try to be sensitive to those things. Gavin, do you think if any of his other victims have seen any of this case, they will eventually have the courage to speak up? I deeply hope so. I've told you guys about the case here in my area where a grown woman, after having grown up, decided that she was going to tell somebody about the abuse that she suffered for years as a child. I felt so much. I don't even know the person's name because it was redacted from the files. I only know generally that she lives in my area, and I have this like paternal swelling of happiness and pride for that kind of courage. So I hope that if there are other victims, they will be able to have that courage to speak up eventually. Criddles, and I'm sorry it came around this way. I got to fix that somehow. She says, thank you for the fun yet direct streams about these subjects. You deliver it awesomely. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for the super chat. Let's keep going. Zach, I have to stay home and wait for the cable repairman. Yeah, it's perfect. Cheryl says, Gavin, I have a bipolar sister. Even as an adult, she can be stubborn, conniving, and manipulative. Jen gave in with Maddie, and as a parent, she should have held her ground. So sad. Yeah. I agree with you, and both things can be true at the same time, while also recognizing that she probably was manipulated and coerced. Could be. Edna Crabapple. Gavin, 2 of my uncles are schizophrenic. When medicated, they're a little weird, but mostly normal, maybe a bit subdued, but still who they are. You know what? I know that I just said that I don't know anybody who's schizophrenic, but if schizophrenia is just a little weird, but mostly normal, I mean, maybe my father-in-law is schizophrenic. I say that with tongue planted firmly in my cheek. I love my father-in-law. But yeah, I think with the right therapy, schizophrenia is something that you can live with, right? And be and successfully so. Lauren C. Gavin, the attractiveness of predators has been playing out so eerily well in the Wade Wilson case. It would be great to understand it more from a clinical aspect. Great comment. Great comment. Gavin, someone had said before that they live about an hour away from Kissimmee. I also live about an hour and a half away from there, and there's absolutely no coverage of this case anywhere, which is shocking to us. But we all live in this YouTube bubble where this is something that we care deeply about, right? And this is something that one of the prosecutors that I talked to, that I've brought up on the channel pretty recently, said, right, that most people don't think about these things. Most people In fact, most people don't even watch the local news. So, yeah, it is shocking that so many people are completely unaware of this case, but it's also good in that I think they'll be able to find a good juror, a good jury, I mean. Okay, let's pause there and let's go back to here. Let me go to the next one. Okay, as far as Matty Soto, I have a feeling that Stephen Stearns was seen on Hickory Tree Road while he got the flat tire and was unable to leave Matty's body. He left at 3 a.m. in Jen's car to drop the body where he initially intended to do so. That's why the dogs barked at Jen's car and sensed a dead body scent. I think Matty was still in his trunk. He got spooked when he made eye contact with the man who gave the tip seeing Stephen Stearns on Hickory Tree Road and left after changing the tire only to return late at night to leave the body. Just thought, hey, that's just as possible as any other theory. I had wondered why. I had thought that maybe the scent of his clothing having carried or his person, I know he took a shower or changed his clothes, right? But the scent maybe was still on his person, and that's why it went to the car. I had wondered if he had already dumped Matty's body and went back to try to maybe cover it or something. I don't know. By the way, I saw that Gazella was talking today about, Stephen Stearns using drugs and stuff like that. I watched her coverage of that. I had that on in the background while I was working. And one of the things that she talked about was, oh my goodness, my thought just left. Gazella was talking about, what were we talking about? Dead body, the Hickory Tree Road, changing the tire. Just a thought. Dang it, now I can't remember. It was something that she mentioned early on. I guess I'll come back to it. I completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's possible that I know what it was. She was talking about rigor mortis. And, rigor mortis takes between 0 and 8 hours to set. And I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good guideline, but it's really not set, but for the stiffening to begin, there's so many other variables in that, including the temperature and all sorts of things, right? I think that Matty was killed closer to the time that he was seen on camera dumping stuff in the dumpster. And the reason that I think that is because her body moved in the car. Like, she is seen in different positions in the car. So that is not rigor. And why did I get off on this tangent? I don't know, but it's a little bit gross. But anyway, the only experience I have is in assisting our county coroner. So I have experienced what rigor feels like, what it looks like at different times. Also in animal husbandry, working on a farm, I know what it looks like, what it does. I don't think that any rigor mortis had really set in, or if any it was just barely a little bit, and that is an indication to me that it was about 7 o'clock or so that Matty was killed. That's what I think. I know that was like a tangent, but that's what I was thinking about. Anyway, okay. I should say just a thought, just like this commenter did. Okay. Here is why I think Jen was allegedly in on selling her daughter to Stefan and was probably in on the sale of videos and or photos of Madeline to the dark web for profit. So Jen told the police she asked Stefan to come to help her take care of Matty because she had a new job and she wanted to see her daughter more. Sunday, Jen worked until 10:30 p.m. and Matty was 13 and had already taken her shower and done her nighttime routine. When I was 13, I was babysitting other people's kids. I did not need a babysitter. Also, Jen did not have work Monday or Tuesday. Her doctor's appointment on Monday was not until 10:30 a.m., but she could have taken Matty to school on Monday. Stefan had zero reason to come to their place to help Jen. Jen had zero reason to ask Maddie and Stefan to sleep together in room 4 since she had 2 days off after Sunday in which she could have caught up on sleep. All of that info plus Jen's Woody Allen story equals, in my opinion, Jen trafficked her kid to Stefan and cashed in on whatever sales of CSAM they sold. I think that is a compelling argument. I think it's compelling, and it's a great comment. Okay, just with regards to, let me switch these things up here a little bit. No, where'd I go? This one, there we go. Just with regards to the Madeline Soto case, wouldn't the police be able to go through both Stefan's and Jen's bank accounts to see if there were any large or regular cash deposits? And also, Grizzly True Crime did a vid, shout out to Grizzly, and revealed that Stefan's father had an affair. Just this whole character is dodgy. And on your video today, he was asking lots of questions about how far they looked back on the hard drives, etc. Why is he so worried? It's a bit odd. I don't know that he was worried. This is Chris Stearns that we're talking about. I don't know that he was worried. I think that he was just trying to gather more information. I think he was curious. But the beginning of your comment, yeah, I think that there probably is a forensic accountant or 2 or 10 going through the at least Stefan's financial records, maybe Jen's as well. And I think that they would be able to find that, even if there are cryptocurrencies. The only thing that would be really difficult to trace would be cash. Yeah. Okay. I'm following Maddie's case from Cairo. Pretty awesome. I just watched your last video on YouTube regarding Stefan Stearns and his parents regarding Jen Soto being institutionalized. I just wanted to let you know that Chris Stearns was in law enforcement, right? So he's very much aware of what's happening in regards to his monster son, as well as that all jail phone calls are recorded. I feel like he's truly disgusted by what Stefan has done, but at the end of the day, the monster is still his son. Mom is a different story, 100% enabler. This was very obvious in the interview they did on, I guess that was on Hidden True Crime. We watched pieces of that here on that channel. It was a great interview. They did a really good job. I think that's a great comment. I don't have much to quibble with at all. And thanks for watching. Let's see, I've got just a couple more here. Okay, abusers are extremely possessive of their victims, and that is exactly why Stefan took Maddie's life, says this one. If you read through Chris and Deborah Stearns' interview in the supplemental 25-page from Officer Morris, Deborah said Madeline called Stefan on February 22nd and that after that call, he was very upset for a few days. I believe in that call was Madeline telling him it was over because of her crush on Miguel. Stefan acted as if it was cute in conversation with Jennifer to not alert her suspicion. But trust me, he was losing his mind. The night he killed Madeline, he believed he would change her mind and she would choose him. When that didn't happen, he killed her. Also, I'm confident Jennifer did not know. She was just too lazy and selfish and drugged to use any normal woman's intuition. Also, in that same report, there was a mention that Stefan just started seeing another woman. I believe it was Chris that said that. I don't remember that. Anyway, I can guarantee you that woman had at least one daughter. When we age out to the sickos, they find the next single woman with the young girls. I don't remember the conversation about the other woman, but that doesn't mean that it isn't there. I'm not remembering that. And yeah, I appreciate the comment. Not a lot to quibble with that we haven't already quibbled. Quibbled? If you're British, do you say quibbled? I don't know. Okay, last comment says, I did not know that Jennifer sent a text after the detectives left the room to get her some water. The text was to Stefan's father telling him that Stefan needed a lawyer and that detectives had found images on Stefan's phone of him in SA with Madeline Soto. By the way, this I think is in reference to a video that Plunder did where she synchronized the videos the interview of Jennifer Soto and the interview of Stephen Stearns. Anyway, right after the detectives came back in, she had lost interest in seeing the images she had been shown earlier and instead wanted to talk about the video footage of the figure by the church near Madeline's school. I think you were right about Jennifer. She did know about the abuse and allowed or facilitated it. So, yeah, and I mean, I waffle back and forth, man. What Beth talked about was compelling. Whether Jen knew or not, had the ability to know or not, it's pretty compelling, and the answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. All right, let's bring up little Miss Maddie here. Looks like we got a super sticker from Susan. Thank you very much, Susan. What am I trying to do? File. There we go. Thank you very much, Susan. I deeply appreciate that. Darlene says, Gavin, I don't know if you've already talked about it. Stephen Stearns also said that we dropped her off at school. Do you think they talked about that before calling the cops? I think the we is, yeah, they had some sort of, whether Jennifer knew it or not, some sort of conspiracy. He told her, this is what happened. This is what we should tell the police. And she probably was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Oops. It just refreshed. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Yep. Crazy Cat Lady, you are correct there. Go back up. Wow. So much. Hybristophilia is the psychological term for women attracted to inmates and convicts. Okay, I think I got to talk to Beth about that. Bobby, Gavin, while there are so many aspects to this case, I just can't help but think this is another example of how mental health crisis. Yeah, I see what you're going to say. Oh, real quick. Well, I'll get back to you, KC32. You know, Gavin, Red Skelton laughed at his own jokes too. My father-in-law is a character, guys. All right, KC32 says, kind of hard to believe she was manipulated when she's the one who said she didn't think Stephen Stearns was very smart. Well, that's a good comment. Tony Miller, Gavin, would they delay the SA trial in February? In my experience, the likelihood that the trial will happen in February is almost nothing. It's infinitesimally small. They have to put the trial on the calendar, but there's so many motions and so much investigation that has to go through before a trial can happen. It just probably will not happen. That is my guess. Okay, we're running low on time, so let me just scroll down here. We got Susan. Thank you for that super chat, Susan, or super sticker. Let's see. That one was, here we go. We'll come down here. Okay, Megs B, and I'm sorry this isn't showing up well, Megs. I've got to fix that. If Stefan was making money off of Maddie's CSAM material, why do you think he was still relying on Chris to pay his rent? Oh, I think that he was just addicted to shopping for stupid things. I really do. Mooney gifted 5 memberships. Mooney, you are the best. You are the best. All right, guys. You guys, all of these comments are just amazing. Thank you all. Thank you, Mooney, for gifting those memberships. Thank you all for, especially the super chats and super stickers, and for engaging me in this conversation tonight. I want to just quickly remind you that you can contact me over on the old website, gavinfish.com. And you can remain anonymous if you want. You don't have to fill out your name and your email address, your phone number, or anything. But if you want me to be able to respond to you, which I sometimes do, please put that in there. Also, remember that we have the Fish Tank over here on Facebook, over 3,000 members, and we've got a lot. Ooh, what is this? Yeah, we've got a lot of conversations going on. It's not just about Stefan Stearns and Madeline Soto. It's pretty much, if you're a true crime lover, that is the place for you. Okay, I will be back tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. I've got a couple of things that I want to bring you guys. I really don't know which one I'm going to bring you, but I will be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. So set your calendars, set your clocks if it's your thing. If you like this kind of content and you think it's worth it, please give it a like, give it a subscribe, share it with others. That helps me to grow the channel. The channel has grown so much, guys. It's grown so much, and it's all because of you, my awesome mods. Jamie, who manages the fish tank. There's just so many people that have been helping out. Thank you all for your help. With that, I guess I will bid you adieu. I will see you tomorrow, hopefully. Have a good night. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.